Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at a format that I already did prior for the Great League, but now we're gonna take a look at a few Pokemon, 10 Pokemon here, that are just one change away from being meta in the Open Ultra League. And I don't really want to have too many of them in there that were already in the Great League one, so there are a lot of them as well that are viable in the Ultra League. I think I only put one of them in here as well, but there are a lot of new ones. But if you enjoy this type of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel as well. Only 42% are actually subscribed. It's free, helps me out quite a bit, and you stay up to date for everything towards Go Battle League. So, first one, let's take a look at Hippowdon. Hippowdon is an interesting Pokemon and honestly has quite some potential. This Pokemon currently has the Elemental Fangs as well as, I think, Bite as a fast move, which of course are not really that great, but actually it would also learn Mud Shot, and Mud Shot going to definitely help this Pokemon out quite a bit. It's not going to be too crazy, it's just going to allow you something like to beat something like the Registeel or the Cobalion or like Manabus, but having access to then Mudshot, the Weather Ball Rock, which is kind of cool coverage move, like very unique coverage move, as well as Scorching Sands, which is a really good move, which is kind of underrated sometimes for some Pokemon in the current meta. I feel like that's kind of nice. Wish that there was something different as in terms of a fast move there, because I feel like Mudshot doesn't really help this Pokemon out that much. Like, it would be an easy add for Niantic, because it's not going to do too much for them anyway. It's not going to make it really broken. To make it really, like, really strong, basically, we would kind of need a new fast attack for ground typing, and I would like to see something like Sand Attack. And there will be a video as well where I'm mostly not going to talk about Sand Attack, because it's like Sand Attack in the main series game doesn't do damage, but we have some moves that are similar towards it in the in Pokemon Go already, like Charm, for example, does no damage in the main series games, but does a ton of damage in Pokemon Go. So Sand Attack would be something cool, like as a format, maybe something like one trend move, like Water Gun Clone or something like this. It would help out the Hippowdon a little bit more, because you kind of want to have a little bit of damage output from your first move as well, so the charge moves actually do like enough damage to knock out some opponents here. Going to be a little bit tricky, but I would like to see some kind of new fast moves for those kind of Pokemon. Next Pokemon, Regidrago. You most likely think now, oh, you're most likely going to add Dragon Breath to this Pokemon. I could do this if you want to have literally the most overpowered Pokemon of them all, even though it only has Dragon type damage. Dragon Breath plus Breaking Swipe on Regidrago was like insanely overpowered in calculations for it, so I decided to add all different Elemental Fangs, which would give this Pokemon, depending on the meta, some decent play. Here, Fire Fang is my example, for example, which is going to be the one that has the most amount of impact towards it. It learns all of them, it would be fitting towards this Pokemon as well. It's just better than Bite, basically getting the moves then that the Hippowdon prior had is, I feel like, a very decent change here. We're going to see already it gained some decent average rating with that. Breaks Pokemon like Registeel, the Virizion, some neutral matchups as well. It's a very neutral Pokemon in general. Just Breaking Swipe plus Fire Fang is really good in the current meta. So, very solid Pokemon. Again, Dragon Breath would be too overpowered. I don't know if there's another fast move that would be able to learn, or like could potentially come into the game that would be better for this one, but I feel like Elemental Fangs would make some sense here. Making some sense would be also an update for Bewear, I would imagine, because Bewear is actually a cool Pokemon. Having access currently to Shadow Claw, Superpower, and Payback is actually a decent moveset. But for this Pokemon, being a little bit squishier, being a part normal, part fighting type Pokemon, I kind of want to have Double Step on my charge moves. So I actually made a few mistakes here as well on the slide, so I'm just going to put this all on here. Adding Body Slam to this Pokemon going to allow it to definitely gain a little bit more weight there, going to allow you to win 5 more matchups. Still not going to make this Pokemon super crazy overpowered, but going to have a double step of Body Slam and Superpower with Shadow Claw as a fast move is just a really good breaker, while still having a ton of weaknesses for this Pokemon like Charm, Psychic, yeah, what else? Flying, Fighting, all of those moves are going to be super effective against you. So it's definitely still a balanced Pokemon. Going to have great matchups against most of the neutral matchups, for example Swampert or Tapu Fini, and also would be a cool cheap one for the Great League. Didn't put it into the top 10 there for the Great League, because there were like other Pokemon that were a little bit easier to buff, but still would be very balanced for this one. Going to most likely make more videos of this kind of videos as well, so if you have like some suggestions for Great League, Ultra League, Master League for this type of format, then feel free to let me know in the comment section. Of course, only with moves that are currently already in the game. There are going to be other videos for new moves that could potentially be decent for the game, which are also coming on my channel, so feel free to subscribe. But let's move on to the next one. We're going to have Victreebel next. This is a change that a lot of people would love to see for the Great League already, which I didn't include last time around, but it would be balanced, and I would actually recommend Niantic to do this change as well, especially because a lot of people are annoyed about Razor Leaf Victreebel. But honestly, it would also be able to learn Vine Whip, and Vine Whip would make this Pokemon even better for the Ultra League, would make it a little bit better for the Great League, while not being super toxic, because Vine Whip plus Leaf Blade plus Sludge Bomb is a great moveset. Like, it's a really good moveset. Double step on everything basically here, plus being Shadow, doing a ton of damage, Leaf Blade being the best grass type move, or like in general most likely the best charge move in the game right now. Or like maybe you could argue something like the signature move of Halucha might be a little bit better. But honestly, Leaf Blade is such a good move there that it would be better than the Venusaur. It would definitely overshadow this one and would be the most common grass type Pokemon, while still being weak to a ton of different typings and not going to be like insanely overpowered with it either. So I would like to see this kind of change. I know that a lot of people like this kind of Pokemon as well, and in general, would be cool for the Great League, would be less toxic than the Razor Leaf, so I would love to see this change for Victreebel. Moving on to a Pokemon that also a lot of people don't really like to see, most likely because it's a regional Pokemon with Throh. This Pokemon is one of the best Flying-type Pokemon in terms of the stats, but it has just a horrible moveset of Low Kick. Body Slam Focus Blast is okay. Focus Blast, I mean, you could argue of giving it a better move than Focus Blast as well. Like, I don't know if it learns Dynamic Punch or like Cross Chop or anything like this. But Low Kick is just the issue here. Otherwise it has then Headbutt, but it also would learn Poison Jab. And you know what also learns Poison Jab? The Salt basically, which is already in the game, and it learns Poison Jab there. So this would be a very normal change there, and you see already this Pokemon gains an average rating there of 508, winning 26 and losing 22, and it's a very neutral fighting type Pokemon without even using its stab type. It's just really good. Just Poison Jab plus Body Slam going to allow you to even break Virizion or also the Tapu Fini. Just really great in neutral scenarios. I would like to see another charge move, but also I would not really appreciate Poison Jab in general. There are a ton of different fighting type moves. Honestly, like for fighting type moves, there are so many in the game that are not yet in Pokemon Go that would be really nice. I don't know if like any of those are actually in Pokemon Go and like nobody uses and it's like somewhere in the game code and like maybe one Pokemon learns them. But there are just so many different kind of fighting type moves that could be all kind of fast moves, could be all kind of charge moves, whatever. That would be really cool, that could break up a little bit, and honestly, I would love to see a counter nerf. I know a lot of people were like, oh my god, all the Pokemon that learn counter, but buff other kind of fighting type Pokemon as well with that, because it's the only way to really get rid of Medicham, or like get that a little bit lower. It still would be very strong, but just give alternatives for fighting type Pokemon, because right now it is stale, and I would love to see different kind of fast moves for fighting type moves. And even if you make counter a Poison Jab clone, I think it's still going to be viable, so yeah, that's for me at least what I would imagine for that one. So move on to the next one. Going to be the Turtonator, something that a lot of people want to like to see here, and we're going to take a look here at Dragonclaw in this Pokemon. Dragonclaw is maybe, like most people would actually think Breaking type. I actually don't think it learns Breaking type, I might be mistaken with that, but Dragonclaw is way more balanced, as you can see here as well. With getting 26 wins, 23 losses is really balanced for the Ultra League. You need to have it fully excel for the Ultra League, but you also have Overheat, and if this is not enough for you, here, for example, some matchups that you can win as well with Cobalion, Registrago, Virizion just being a little bit neutral, way better than Dragon Pulse anyway, because you have a cheap move. You're gonna get to a Dragonclaw after 2 Incinerates, which is 10 moves, which is really good, like 10 turns, which is really cool for it. But if you don't even think that this is great enough for it, it still has a signature move, which is called Shell Trap, which is in the main series game basically something like Protect or something like this, or like, it's not really Protect, it doesn't protect you from anything, but if the opponent makes a physical contact with you in that turn, you have like a fire type move that hits for 150 damage, so most likely would be a very hard hitting fire type move that doesn't debuff your own attack, which Overheat does here. So would be interesting to see this in the game as well, and could be again buffed in the future. Moving on, next one. This is the only one that I put in there from the last video for the Great League, just because I wanted to point out how strong this Pokemon is and how cool this Pokemon would be. Because Shadow Feraligatr is a very squishy boy. You know already, we added Shadow Claw on this Pokemon, and this Pokemon is all of a sudden one of the best meta breaker. But just thinking about what it can break is what really makes me want to have this Pokemon, because it can break Steelix, super annoying, Giratina, super annoying, Cresselia, super annoying, Swampert, very squishy, like not very squishy, very spammy, very annoying. Also, the Jellicent, which is also super annoying. So basically, the most annoying, most bulkiest Pokemon all lose to Feraligatr with Shadow Claw in the Ultra League. Because the moveset is right, the typing is right, And still, this Pokemon is not completely busted because this Pokemon is fairly squishy. So if you have something like a Dragon-type Pokemon with Dragon Breath, like a Dragonite, you're not going to have the greatest time with Feraligatr. So in my opinion, this would be my favorite buff of them all. There's still going to be more to come, of course, for this video, because the video is not over. But yeah, Shadow Claw would be the favorite buff of them all. You could also say something like Whirlpool as a new fast move if you want to go a different route, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, Shadow Claw to everything, counter to everything, and make the Pokemon nice. I would like to see more variety in fast moves as well for the game, but right now I really think that Shadow Claw on Feraligatr is the update that we kind of need for the Ultra League, because it's just a fast breaker that is really good against the current meta, as well as this Pokemon would still lose against something like Greninja, for example. Greninja is going to resist everything single move here, while Greninja does like neutral damage with the Night Slash against you, so it's not even going to be like completely unbalanced or whatever. I feel like this would be the best Pokemon to have in the Ultra League right now. Moving on, we're going to have here now, I think, one of the best Pokemon here. I think it's the second to last one of them all. It's going to be Milotic. I think maybe there's actually one more. There's actually 2 Pokemon more then. We're going to add a Breaking Swipe on this Pokemon. And I see like comments again, oh my god, it's going to be the next Steelix or the super bulky Pokemon. Yes, it's going to be strong. Like, this Pokemon going to be insanely good in like neutral scenarios, which you see also on the side there for the matches. If you have like this narrow space in the middle, it's basically, the middle is like 50-50, you both lose with like 0 HP and you just have a draw. And like, it's very close towards it, so like you flip some matchups a little bit more now, but you're not going to dominate too many matchups. As you can see, there's nothing that's really on the right side or on the left side. So it's a very neutral Pokemon, which most likely would be the best face-up in the meta. Again, a water type that's really strong then. Breaking Swipe, I feel like, is kind of balanced. You can actually also run a Waterfall, which gives you some different matchups, which might be even better for this Pokemon. But yeah, again, you have 16% less bulk compared to Steelix, so like it's going to be not as annoying as basically Steelix was, or it still is. But also I would see like some different kind of coverage already making this Pokemon a little bit better, like Ice Beam or like Icy Wind or something like this, which is not as broken as Breaking Swipe, but Breaking Swipe would definitely be something that I would see for this Pokemon. So, moving on to the second to last one, it's going to be Suicune. This Pokemon is one of my favorite Pokemon to use back in the day, and I feel like it really needs a buff. And what can I say? There are certain kind of variants that you can do here. I went for the one that is currently available is Waterfall. This is, by the way, the 2-shield scenario where it looks a little bit better than like 1-shield scenario. This is the only one where it's not in the 1-shield scenario, just because you have Bubble Beam, and Bubble Beam plus Waterfall are 2 things that like really add up in the 2-shield scenario, showing more the potential here. That's why it has 34 wins. While it's going to be worse in the 1-shield than the 0-shield, so it's not as broken as it seems like here. So I feel like this is a change that you can do. If you want to go the safer route as Niantic, give it Water Gun, which is a little bit worse than Waterfall. So this Pokemon still would be able to break a ton of very neutral matchups like Steelix, like Mandibuzz. So this would be really cool for it. It just finally gets some damage output for the fast move, which would be amazing for it as well. But again, there are different kind of fast moves that I would like to see. Whirlpool is honestly one of the most anticipated by me, that we get Whirlpool for a lot of the water-type Pokemon like Hippowdon, like Suicune, like maybe Feraligatr, like Wailord. There are so many really good water-type Pokemon that could be even better, even though the meta right now already is very based around water-type Pokemon like Lantern, Swampert. But usually they are more there because of their secondary typing than really the water typing itself. Water typing is just a very good defensive typing. But Suicune would be one of the coolest Pokemon to buff. I don't think it has a signature move, sadly, but it is a really cool Pokemon here, and would appreciate another water type fast move for this Pokemon. Moving on to the final one for today, it's going to be Sylveon. Sylveon is going to get here for me the fast move Fairy Wind. It does learn Fairy Wind. It is a better fast move than Quick Attack for this Pokemon. And I know that a lot of people are going to argue now, oh, why do you not give it Mystical Fire? And this is going to give it just a little bit more pressure here with Fairy Wind, generating energy faster than the Quick Attack while doing around the same amount of damage because of Stab, usually a little bit less. But as you can see as well, average rating already very high. Mystical Fire would make this Pokemon broken. Not even with Fairy Wind, just give it Quick Attack, Psyshock, Mystical Fire would make this Pokemon insane already, and way too strong in my opinion, because you're going to have coverage for all your weaknesses. Fairy type is weak to Steel types, Mystical Fire is super effective against it, Fairy types are weak to Poison types, Psyshock is super effective against it. So basically this Pokemon would have next to no answers anymore, and so I feel like giving Fairy Wind is the most valuable one there, and like the most balanced one. So that's going to be my list for this top team, top 10 Pokemon that could just need one buff in order to get meta into the Ultra League. So definitely very cool Pokemon here. Let me know in the comment section what is your favorite and what Pokemon do you think also just need one move to get buffed for the Ultra League or Great League or Master League for future videos. So let me know. See you then. Bye bye.